Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am Mighty the Armadillo here. Welcome back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Wario, Master of Disguise, aka Phantom Thief Wario D7 for the Nintendo DS. So last time we've actually completed Chapter 5, despite there are quite a few stuff I was missing. But I'm also able to actually skip that for now on, because regardless of everything else though, we did somehow manage able to do that stage. Okay enough, certainly a lot better than the forms of Chapter 4 or Chapter 3 in my personal opinion. But regardless of such though, I think that's usually as far as this is concerned. So today for this video, we are moving on to episode 6, known as A Flower That's Drunk Up Power. Interesting fact. Although mind you about the fact that flowers do manage able to grow out of water, if it's assuming about the fact that with rainy weather comes into play, then obviously that's, well, I honestly have no way to explain about this. So in some cases though, we somehow teleported into this ancient ruins of any sorts, so we can able to explore around in this particular environment, to able to look for clues, and hopefully we'll able to actually just try to able to investigate for specific stuff. So yeah, that might be as far as that's been concerned with Sonic. So and also not to mention though is the fact that I believe we're now on the halfway point of the game already, so yeah, you might as well able to actually just to consider able to not to celebrate anytime soon. So yeah, I get the strong feeling about that part there, Mighty, because I can assure to you about the fact that this game is not gonna give up on me or anything else like that. Well, I highly doubt that I'm also able to almost give up on this game. But like you said before, Mighty, is the fact that we're pretty much almost at the halfway point. Actually, we're now in the halfway point of the main story of the game already. Well, apart from the fact that there are some bits left here and there, but I think we should probably save that conversation in a later date. So, oh man, this place is gonna be huge, and especially noticeable about the fact that, well, potentially speaking though, is the fact that this place is filled to the brim with, even then, it does also kind of reminds me of the Metroidvania type of gameplay style with all this wall design in mind. But it's just a shame about the fact that, well, as I mentioned this before, this game is filled to the brim with unnecessary touch controls, and apparently some people complain about the minigames themselves too, because there's a lot more repetition going on in terms of likely replaying the exact same minigames over and over and over again, but with different stimulations. And not to mention though, one thing I should probably also forgot to mention about this during the course of this entire Let's Play of this game so far, that this game, in terms of minigames variety, apparently there's a difficulty options. So in some cases though, that in the beginning portion, you start the actual minigames off with an easy mode within, like, you know, with that blue meter, which actually represents, well, exponentially. You remember the forms of that particular, the gallery book thing that you actually navigate through for the actual menus and stuff? Well, apparently though, that if you manage to play certain minigames within a blue area of Wario's face or something like that, that actually represents easy mode, but then later on though, it actually gets a bit more tough and difficult. So yeah, it's kind of like WarioWare. Well, if I have to point things out, that this game is just basically, you know, like I mentioned this before, it's basically a Metroidvania game, but with WarioWare touch mechanics. But as a result of that kind of stuff though, I still really think that the execution for this game doesn't really work well in my opinion, especially because, well, it just managed able to drag certain stuff up, especially noticeable if you really want to get every single collectible in the game, which, trust me, it's not even worth it in my opinion, especially that, relatively speaking though, it's just the fact that all it gets is just bragging rights, I guess, unlike something related to, you know, Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, that if you get a certain amount of ridiculous amount of coins, and then if you're able to actually aim for the best ending, well, you have to get not only a lot of coins, but also you have to gather every single treasure in the game, which I think the actual ending is very worth it if you manage to accomplish something like that. And in comparison to the forms of let's just say, Wario Land 2 for its every single endings, and especially noticeable with the real final chapter included. That way you can get yourselves and also a really, interesting ending reward. And on top of all that stuff though, with Wario Land 3, well, despite there are some music coins you can able to gather through, but it's just about the fact that the only thing you can only unlock is by getting yourselves the tough obstacle course, or to be more specifically, a much harder golf course. So, and as far as Wario Land 4 goes, I believe you're able to actually get yourselves the, well, let's just say bragging rights in normal mode, but if you manage to complete hard mode, then you obviously get super hard mode. And I get the strong sense of feeling that if you manage to able to get every single, like, I don't know, gold crowns or something like that within each and every single level, and also getting every single treasure in Wario Land 4, then I could assure you that you might able to actually get something very rewarding, like the actual gold atmosphere on the file selection or something like that. And in Wario World, that if you found every single sprinklings or spring seeds or something like that, that basically does the fact that you get yourselves the best ending, alongside with I would say every single treasures as far as I'm aware, and also with every single pieces of hearts and all that stuff, whilst in Wario Land, the Shake Dimension, or Shake It, if for those of you who lived in North America, then you get yourselves a nice little treasure room reward. Spoiler warning if we haven't exactly got into that particular game yet, but hopefully we will do at some point next year, because oh man, that'll be fun. Especially noticeable about the fact that despite there are some tricky parts here and there in Wario Land, the Shake Dimension sometimes, but hopefully we'll get around to that, and trust me, that'll be excitement. So, and fundamentally speaking, that will be the last time we can able to actually play a Wario platformer game for a very long time if we get around onto Wario Land, the Shake Dimension, because again, it's a shame that the Wario Land series never continues after the Wii installment, which just kind of sucks, because obviously we didn't got one for the likes of the 3DS or the Wii U. Well, mind you, the Wii U technically does have re-releases of not only Wario Land 4, but also Wario Land the Shake Dimension within a digital download version, and aside from that, that was it, basically. Although I do know for the fact that the 3DS does manage to also technically has Wario Land game re-releases here and there, specifically the Game Boy titles within Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, as well as, you know, Wario Land 2, and Wario Land 3, and, well, apparently that Wario Land for the Virtual Boy never gets its re-release or remake yet. So, either way though, we'll have to wait and find out and during at some point next year for 2023, so yeah, I guess you're right. So yeah, speaking of which though, in terms of the forms of today's discussion, originally, I was trying to able to mention something more details about the forms of Mario Kart Tour, but I think we should probably save that conversation until whenever we get to on Wednesday, because as far as I'm aware, this Friday marks the 10th anniversary of the Wii U existence, so God knows if we're able to decide to celebrate that during at some point in this particular upcoming Friday for this week, to be more specific. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, I think that's as far as I can try to describe about the forms of what's going to be coming up during the forms of this week in particular. So anyways though, so let's go ahead and put up Disguise or Genius Wario and transform into Dragon Wario as well, so just to ensure about the fact that we can potentially try to just go flip through those little platforms or something like that. So a few things we want to explain for this point today, and that is the fact that today's date is of course the 14th of November today, in this case in 2022 today, so potentially speaking, we're almost at the halfway point in terms of November already. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, everything else went super duper fast, especially noticeable considering how the fact that, well, we haven't exactly got into any other like news or discussions for this matter. Although apart from a couple of exceptions though, that I suppose we honestly forgot to mention about in the past few days, such as for instance, apparently though, Sony just somehow managed able to lose its nearly 2 million PlayStation Plus subscribers since service revamp. So, in some cases though, I've got no words to able to explain about this, because aside from all that stuff though, I haven't exactly come across into PlayStation Plus for some time now, so... Oh, and during the forms of that specific time though anyway, that I suppose we honestly forgotten to mention about, is the fact that, well, do you remember the game called Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games on the Wii version specifically? Oh yeah, what's the actual reason for it? Well, apparently that game has been out for 15 years now, since 2007, so alongside with, of course, Super Mario Galaxy, and of course, Rosalina's appearance, our first appearance for the sake of the Mario universe, and also say applies with Sonic Rivals 2, and also say applies for, I think that's about it basically. Although, one thing in mind though, is the fact that when it comes to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, well, relatively speaking though, I do remember for about 15 years ago that I somehow managed able to make my playable appearance for the sake of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and that is actually a really dang good times in my honest memories in terms of not only Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but also the gaming communities as well. And usually, relatively speaking though, I just had a lot of fun memories with all that, you know, Sonic trailer reveal for Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which is always a good time in my book. But anyway, so yeah, I can't even believe that Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, the very first Mario and Sonic crossover game of all time, has now officially become 15 years old, specifically the Wii version, because it wasn't until whenever we get to, you know, in 2023, that the DS version also get its 15th anniversary treatment even there as well. So relatively speaking though, there's not much else I can honestly try to explain about this particular 15th anniversary department for certain stuff we're about to be seeing, so... Anywho, so now we've actually discovered the upgraded version of Cosmic Wario. Even though it's nothing drastically different, apart from the fact that they did improve for one thing, and that is the long range, you know, laser shots. So, yeah, that was actually, that's more like it. Especially, as you can tell, it now actually not only bounces certain walls, but also ceilings as well. Like, for example, remember that particular scene right here? Well, basically, we need to angle ourselves within that particular laser shot, and that way, the ladder shows up. So, if you managed able to activate that particular switch, which is only accessible if you somehow managed able to become Cosmic Wario of any sort. So, oh yeah, I can totally appreciate about that particular upgrade still, because the first one we've actually come across into is the, well, RT Wario and stuff like that. And is it possible we can able to actually get all of the upgrades for certain disguise gems? Well, I think suffice to say, Mighty, that might be true. Even though, mind you, there are a couple of item exceptions here and there, but hopefully we're just gonna have to able to live without it, so... Anyway, so since we placed that particular statue for some reason, and because of that, I think that actually blocks the actual waterfall, apparently, so... I'm guessing it's probably because the game wants us to able to do this for like, I would say multiple times for that particular process, which, mind you, I don't usually still remember this game all that well, so yeah, forgive me if I somehow managed able to botch everything else up, but besides the fact that I don't usually, enjoy this game all that much though, because, I mean, let's face it though, I mean, surely some gamers do have their own different opinions about this game, and I sure as well do have my different opinions as well, but, I mean, let's face it though, it just usually happens in some cases though, you know, so... Oh jeez, I'm almost running out of time here, 10 seconds, oh jeez. Okay, come on, oh, okay, I think this is done. Oh, thank God. At least I did not fail on this, so that should be all good. And apparently we got ourselves a key in order to able to actually access to certain areas throughout the majority of this level, so... Yeah, not much else to add around here, so we'll just continue things on here. So, I can definitely tell you right off the bat though that this place is going to be huge as it is. So, and believe me, this particular video, as far as this is concerned, well, it might actually took us a lot longer than you thought of how it does on any other worlds in the game so far. Well, assuming if I was trying to able to do a lot of like exploring through the majority of the stages themselves, or essentially if you're trying to backtrack for certain areas throughout the majority of one of those episodes in mind. And I don't know about you, it just feels a bit kind of tedious at one form or another, but either way though, that's as far as saying goes. So anyway, the next thing I want to point things out, specifically for those of you who lived in the UK, most likely, that apparently the new service is going to be getting itself a actual release date, which is of course ITVX, which is obviously a combination of ITV1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe ITVB, or something like that, and CITV as well. Well, for the UK channel broadcasting for the sake of time anyway. The streaming service for that particular service is going to be launching until the 8th of December in this year. Specifically, Thursday most likely. So because obviously I've already checked the calendar already, so yeah, not much else to able to actually mention about that particular topic in mind. And yeah, it might be seems all interesting for the sake of time. So in some cases though, we'll definitely get out able to put up with the forms of that particular wait for a little while until, well, that particular service is going to be up and running. So, oh, and apparently though, it's the fact that, relatively speaking, during this week essentially as well, that both, no, not both, between, you know, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, at least to be more specifically until this coming Wednesday, that game is going to be eventually become 10 years old. Specifically on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions, because it wasn't until when the Wii U version exists until November 18th during the forms of 2012, and because obviously they want to launch the actual system alongside with the Wii U itself as well, or launch the game alongside with the Wii U as a launch title for the Wii U. So I guess that's something. And on top of all that stuff though, I found it's a little bit weird that how the fact that I believe between the Wii U version and the Xbox 360 and maybe the PlayStation 3 versions here and there, that the Japanese version did manage to release the game very late, within 2 years late lifespan. And then as far as I'm aware, the PlayStation Vita version never happened on the Japanese version. So yeah, I found it was a little bit odd, admittedly speaking, but, oh, and also during the Forms event this Friday, essentially, in addition when the Wii U is gonna be, eventually become 10 years old, also Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2 is also getting its 10th anniversary treatment as well, despite the fact that we just somehow give up on the Epic Mickey game series just because I just found those games incredibly boring in my opinion. I mean, I much rather prefer playing Mickey Mouse games with somewhat of a cute and colorful, vibrant platformer games with all these 2D games in mind, with Mickey Mania. If you want to check that particular Let's Play out, then you can. And so applies with the forms of, well, the Master System games you know as well, which, well, relatively speaking though, there's not much else I can able to try to explain about this, I guess, so oh boy, I got able to make these little specific jumps if I somehow jump onto those specific platforms here and there. But mind you, about the fact of the matter is though, is that sometimes it can be tricky at times for dealing with all that, you know, platforming and all that stuff though, which I don't mind the actual challenge of platforming, but in terms of puzzle solving, which I don't mind about it too much, but it's just the whole factor about the forms of this entire process of doing so many emphasis on touchscreen controls like every time, and it's just way too tedious, you know? And I somehow made a mistake right there, which I'm not very great on these Wario slider mini games like this, especially because it's bad enough that I'm not very good at the Super Mario 64 DS counterparts of these things sometimes, but that's only mainly because, well, eventually whenever you get to the later levels throughout the game, then the difficulty will start to ramp up to a ridiculous degree, for the sake of the forms of the minigames department, so I totally understand why that you've almost got frustrated and rage quitting throughout the majority of the game sometimes, you know? Yeah, I know, Mighty, especially with all that clunky controls. Although, potentially speaking though, oh yeah, let's talk about the forms of another thing I forgot to mention about. That is the fact that apparently though, do you remember the Disney film called Wreck-It Ralph? Oh yeah, what about it? Basically, happy 10th anniversary of the release of the film, specifically in North America's release, because we didn't get the film in a big screen until in 2013 in the UK. Well, mind you, about the fact the matter is though, is the fact that whenever I finally managed to get a chance to watch it back in Journey Falls in 2013, I was very excited because of not only with this video game references here and there, but also I was in the film too, voiced by the one and only Roger Craig Smith himself, which is always a huge plus in my book, and especially noticeable that thanks to Disney, that the actual animated counterpart of myself looks very dang accurate, just like in the games themselves, unlike that Chip and Dale that they just screwed up my... Sorry. I'm sorry. Although I don't mind Chip and Dale the movie per se, but it's just that one guy in particular just bugs the heck out of me. I know exactly what you mean, Sonic. I know exactly what you mean. Oh jeez, why did they able to do this nowadays? Especially that it just feels incredibly off-putting in my opinion, so... Anyway, also during that time though, happy 10th anniversary of the release of Skylanders Giants, the second game in terms of the Skylanders game series. Despite I wasn't really interested with these particular series, I mean, the only time I found was a little bit okay enough is the fact that they obviously include crossover characters, which is one of them is obviously Spyro, ever since in the first game in the series of Skylanders games, which is of course Skylanders Spyro's Adventure back in 2011, and then also we've got Donkey Kong and Bowser in Superchargers, which is always pretty interesting to say the least. And finally for Imaginators, they obviously got Crash Bandicoot and Dr. Neo Cortex on the forms of that particular game, despite for whatever reason in a cartoon of Skylanders Imaginators, they just somehow give Crash, not only they managed able to give Crash a voice, but the brain is completely missing the point. Like he was just planning. He doesn't plan. He eats the things he's supposed to be collecting, like crystals or gems. Like, I will have to admit that right away, though, I honestly prefer the horrible Crash 2 promo video footage of the forms of Crash Bandicoot. At least he's still acting like an idiot in that. Well, he might be, it feels like a little bit of it might be, feels kind of similar to the Looney Tunes cartoons, but either way though, I will say though that Crash Bandicoot and Skylanders Imaginators is not my, favorite Crash Bandicoot, alongside with, Crash of the Titans, along with, Mind Over Mutants Crash Bandicoot, but that's just for my bias, I guess, when it comes to preferring with Crash Bandicoots and stuff like that. So, in fact, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. Which specific Crash Bandicoot do you prefer? Do you prefer the classic version? Or do you prefer the Crash of the Titans version of Crash? Or Skylanders Imaginators version of Crash Bandicoot, despite its very out of place voice actor? I will have to admit it though right away. I mean, let me know in the comments down below, because I would like to hear your thoughts, so... Oh, and also, apparently though, that Mario Party 5, the GameCube title, is officially now becoming 19 years old since 2003, and I can imagine until whenever we get to 2023, my god, that particular game will eventually become 20 years old next year. Although, if we get to 2024, Mario Party 6 will also become 20 years old until 2024, and I suppose Mario Party 7 will be 20 years old until 2025, and jeez Louise, do that time really does fly. Yeah, tell me about it, Sonic, especially because, well, to be speaking though, there's a lot of things that's going to be eventually going to be up for the sake of the forms of anniversaries department here and there. Yeah, tell me about it, Mighty, tell me about it. So, anywho, In addition to those specific stuff though, is the fact that one thing out of nowhere I found out that apparently Mario Strikers Battle League or Battle League Football, for those of you who lived in Europe, apparently the game did receive a very late demo. Like, the reason why I say the late demo is because apparently though, well, it's no longer going to be a special first kick demo or something like that. It's more actually like a playable standard demo, which all it gets in here though, you're able to actually have yourselves a limited time modes you have to play through. Like, for instance, in the main menu, they obviously shows us you can able to actually go into gear settings, trading, options, eShop, you name the rest. And there's also cup battles and quick battle. And as far as I'm aware, in cup battles you can only do one try remaining, which is very limited. And on top of all that stuff though, 7 tries limiting in the forms of quick battles. And I was like, are you serious? Like, how come you're able to actually decide to limit it the actual time offer if those people have not experienced Strikers Battle League yet? But if they try out the demo though, I've honestly got no words to think about it. Although, apparently though, during that particular demo actually, you can only play up to 6 characters during that demo, which we have Mario, Luigi, Bowser, Peach, Toad, and Yoshi. So no Waluigi or Wario or Donkey Kong, or heck, even no Rosalina, or even in some cases though with DLC characters as well, within Shy Guy, Daisy, Pauline, and Diddy Kong. So it's a bit of a strange coincidence, I guess. But honestly, what's the point of able to actually having a demo to begin with? Because honestly, we still got the game physically. I mean, surely it's just out of place, I'm telling you. It's just out of place. At least in my opinion anyway, so... Anyway, so let's get to the forms of the most important aspect about the forms of today's discussion, while we're trying to able to actually go for this entire stage as normal. Well, usually relatively speaking though, I think Mighty's gonna able to actually do the controlling this time, because I'm gonna be sit back and relax, and then able to actually just discuss on you guys about the forms of news, updates, and everything else for that topic, as far as that's been concerned with, so... Even though I need to save my game first, so just in case I don't lose my progress, especially noticeable that I almost gonna be able to like get annoyed with all that navigation problems, but either way though, hopefully I'll try my best to able to actually figure some of these segments out, I guess. So anywho, so the first game, or potentially speaking though, is the fact that, let's get to the forms of that particular discussion about the forms of this point today. That is the forms of the latest Indie World Showcase as far as game announcements they've got. They revealed quite a number of them actually, like, despite I wasn't really interested with this particular presentation, unlike the actual general Nintendo Direct, but it does have some good points here and there, but I'll explain more now in a moment. So in some cases though, yeah, let's get to it with the forms of what specific games they did revealed for Indie World for the sake of the forms of since in 9th of November, so I think it's roughly about 5 days ago since when that happened. Even though potentially speaking though, I think that will actually be the last not only the last Indie World presentation in terms of 2022, but I get the feeling that Indie World for this month might actually be the last time we're able to see Nintendo Direct presentations in 2022, which I'm sure that we'll let some toys else or Maxi will able to mention more about it until whenever they get on with the forms of some tons of Let's Plays to deal with for the sake of the forms of by the end of 2022 before we move on to 2023. So, anywho, the first game they did revealed is Venba. And that particular game is going to be, well, the majority of certain games were able to be released by the end of the forms of, this year in particular. And then on top of all that stuff, though, they also revealed certain games coming out for 2023 as well. So I just want to classify that for something. So, oh yeah, speaking of which, though, before I continue things on with that particular discussion upon, with Indie World announcements and stuff, we only got about 4 more days to go until Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will be releasing on the Switch, despite the fact that we're still probably not going to get the game personally, just because I think I should probably start saving up for not only The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but also with the forms of Pikmin 4, and eventually, you know, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and so much more, until, depending on Nintendo Directs, might able to actually show up again until 2023, but I'm hoping that the selection might be a little bit more better this time, because I don't know about you, I feel like 2022 Nintendo Direct presentations feels a bit meh. To me, though, anyway. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does have some good stuff here and there, but ultimately speaking, though, to me, though, it just feels like completely overboard for not only farming simulation games, but also too many emphasis on JRPGs, which I know fans might able to actually just appreciate about this particular stuff, though, but honestly, it's not my cup of tea, so yeah, I do apologize if I was still a little bit more enthusiastic about it, so, but that's just me. So anyways, let's get to the game selection, shall we? In terms of Indie World Showcase, or the Indie World Nintendo Direct they did revealed. The first game, I mentioned this before, is Vemba, and that game is going to be releasing until next spring, in spring 2023, so I guess that's that. And the next game they did revealed is Goodbye World, which apparently that particular game is going to be later being released at some point in this month, so possibly November sometime. We're not exactly sure what that actual date is going to be, but I'm sure we're able to find out more details about that during the forms of by the end of this month, if depending on the forms of uploading schedules in mind. So, and the next game they did revealed is Have a Nice Death, which apparently that game is going to be, well, it kind of reminds me of the forms of one of those Hollow Knight games. I mean, it's not the same type of game, but it's more likely kind of similar. But ultimately speaking, though, it's just the fact that, well, it's been made by the different company of any sort. I'm presuming so anyway. So, and apparently that game is going to be releasing until the 22nd of March in 2023. So that's surely something, I guess. And the next game they did reveal is AKA. Or AK, I think that's what it says anyway, although I do apologize for that particular mispronunciation of certain indie game titles here and there, so I do apologize if I somehow managed to botch everything else up in terms of spelling corrections. So anyway, that game is going to be releasing until the 15th of December, which is about, I would say, a week after the Game Awards 2022. So, relatively speaking though, let's just hope that the Crash Bandicoot will make its appearance again, just like the forms of how it does it on Team Racing Nitro Fueled back in 2018 or something. Well, I can honestly agree with you, Sonic, because obviously we have not seen Crash Bandicoot ever since Crash on the Run on smartphones. Is that the last time we actually seen Crash Bandicoot in action on a mobile phone? Gee, it's been almost almost 2 years ago since when Crash on the Run managed to make its debut on its smartphones. Despite I still haven't got that game yet, but we'll promise you guys we'll get around to it at some point. But either way, it's so hard to tell at this rate, because apparently we're still going back onto Mario Kart Tour again. But that's only mainly because I just somehow played that game the most out of, I guess. So, and occasional Sonic Dash as well, just because, well, after all, I've already got the actual modern Supersonic, because thanks to the forms of that particular token events they've obviously did host it ever since about a week ago or so. That also means about the fact that, well, in addition, because of about the fact that with all that promotional thing for the sake of the release of, you know, Sonic Frontiers, but also that thankfully I don't need to pay like £12 in order to able to actually get Supersonic within the actual paywall. So that's a better deal than the forms of how it does it on, well, as far as, you know, trying to able to pay with real money, because trust me, that is just ridiculous. But at least I'm very grateful that the token events comes into play. Mind you, I did miss out on a couple of character exceptions, like, you know, Hello Kitty alongside with the forms of Miss Pac-Man, so that seems kind of unfortunate. But apart from those side of things though, I think I might be alright with that. So yeah, I was gonna be thinking about the same thing, because we have not seen Miss Pac-Man for a very long time, although mind you, she has not been brought back ever since quite a long time ago now, so at least specifically during the 2000s era. So you mean like 2005 or 2000, or heck, even with 2002, because apparently Pac-Man FIFA was also 20 years old this year. So relatively speaking though, I think that was actually his first ever party game with some crossover Namco characters in addition. So, well, mind you, we haven't exactly looked upon that much of that game anymore, just because it just feels kind of weird with Pac-Man FIFA as a party game. So, but that's just me. Anyways, let's grab this next treasure chest, so hopefully we'll get ourselves our next treasure and stuff like that, and hopefully I'll try to able to succeed this squish in the bug mini game this time, which I highly doubt I will be doing this within a total breeze, I guess. Anyway, the next game they did revealed is Pepper Grinder. I think that's what it says anyway. It appears to be kind of similar to Drill Dozer type of game, although except the fact that it's been made by the ND developers or something like that. And apparently that game is going to be releasing until 2023, so that's sure it's something, I guess. Dang it, I was so close again. Seriously, every nowadays the minigames are gonna get much tougher at this rate, so as to be expected, so... Oh well, let's hopefully do a different minigame, like sorting out some arrangements for certain items, I guess, even though, as far as you already mentioned about this before in the past few videos, that you did say that this is by far the slowest, but apparently, that the thing is actually moving a lot faster now, so this means it's actually gonna get a lot tougher, so... yeah, wish you luck, I guess. Anyway, the next game they did revealed is Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. I think that's what the title says anyway. And apparently it's going to be releasing until next spring, in spring 2023 as well. And the next game they did revealed is Oni, Road to be the Mightiest Oni. So in some cases though, that game is going to be releasing until 9th of March in 2023. So, yeah, that's what I can say about that. And the next game they did revealed is Desta, The Memories Between. Is going to be releasing until early 2023, if possible. So, yeah, depending on the forms of either on the first half of 2023, or something else for that matter. But we shall see until whenever we get to 2023, like we said this so many times already. So, and the next game they did reveal is A Space for the Unbound. So, and that game is going to be releasing in early 2023, specifically 19th of January in 2023. So, yeah, that begs the question about the fact that we're going to getting ourselves a lot of titles during the course of in 2023 so far, which has actually gone pretty impressive, all things considered. Mind you, we haven't exactly got that much of first-party titles so far in terms of 2023, aside from 3, as we've mentioned, for, you know, Pikmin 4, and as well as, you know, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and as well as Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. So, I do apologize for that particular awkward pause right there, because I keep on thinking of something else for a moment, so... Anyway, the next game they did revealed is Dordogne. I think that's what it says anyway. And that game is going to be releasing during at some point in next spring in 2023 as well. So, yeah, not much else to say on this. And the next game they did revealed is Boo Tiny manner, so in some cases that will be on 2023 release, so yeah, not much else explanations for the sake of time. And the next game they did revealed, which appears to be Once Upon a Juster, which is apparently it's like a puppet show kind of simulation game, and apparently that game has recently came out just recently, so... And as you can see, Sonic, I managed to pull this little trick off by, managed to able to actually activate the switch, so that way I can able to actually get... Oh, sweet, I got a level up. Anyway, so that way I can able to actually just clip for that particular little door thingy right there, and it's a bit picky at times, but trust me, it's just the fact that sometimes it can be very, felt a bit incredibly picky on it sometimes. Although, I will admit though right away is the fact that, well... It gets a bit tough in areas, but either way, we got ourselves our next key, so... And you do realize that we spent on this level for a very, very, very long time right now, especially because, well... It's bad enough about the fact that I think out of all the actual levels in this game, that this is by far is the hugest place in the game, or the longest stage in the entire game, which is already bad enough as it is. Well, because for some reason I'm still more accustomed to the forms of some very short, lengthy levels, for the sake of the forms of the past Wario 2D platformer games, in my opinion. Well, that's only mainly because certain levels in the past Wario games are a heck of a lot more fun to play through. But that's just how it is for me. Oh shoot, I just realized something. I think I need to sort something out for a second because I need to backtrack again, and I think I get the strong sense of feeling I'm actually missing something, so... Oh, this is nuts. Yeah, tell me about it. This game is just an absolute... You know, quite a lot of emphasis on backtracking, I guess. But, it's just... Well, at the very least you can play on the go, but that's besides the point, and it's just tedious sometimes, you know? Anyway, so the next game they did revealed for the Indie World presentation, and that's what appears to be Rogue Legacy 2, and that game also came out just recently on the Nintendo Switch, so not much commented on there. And the next game they did revealed, which was previously revealed since in Pono Showcase in this year, during the forms of in June, that's what appears to be Blink, or Blank rather, which, you know, with the C at the end, so... And apparently, that game has now got its release date, and it's going to be releasing until 14th of February in 2023. So, yeah, that might be roughly about 10 days before Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe for the Switch, so it's going to be releasing. So, and the next game they did reveal is apparently they go into a bit of a slideshow of any sorts when it comes to like more game reveals for Indie World presentation. So in some cases though, next up is Wrestle Quest, and that game is going to be releasing until in May 2023, made by Skybound Games and Mega Cat Studios, so pretty interesting with that game. And also, we got ourselves Wobble Dogs Console Edition, and that game is going to be due out at some point in 3 days' time now, so yeah, pretty swell I have to say, even for that particular game is going to be eventually going to come for its fruition. And the next game they did revealed is Storyteller, and that game is going to be releasing until in 2023, in the 23rd of March. So yeah, not long now until that game is going to be coming out for the Indie World or Indie video games for that resides. So, and the next game they did revealed is World of Horror, and apparently that game is going to be releasing and during at some point in next summer, in summer 2023. So yeah, that's sure it's something, I guess. And what else is there? I suppose, oh yeah, there's the forms of another game is going to be announced in during the forms of this year's Indie World. Oh shoot, I'm somehow screwed up on this. Yeah, it's very easy to screw up in this minigame sometimes because you never know if you can able to think fast or think a lot more quickly. But regardless of such though, it's just, well, I've got nothing more else to add, so... Anyway, the next game they did revealed is Curse of the Sea Rats, and it's going to be releasing and during at some point in early next year. We don't know when exactly, it could be either be January, February, or March, or anything else like that, but I think that's as far as I can try to describe about that. And the next game they did reveal is Inscription. I think that's what it says anyway. And it's going to be releasing in June at the beginning of next month, in December the 1st in 2022, which is roughly the same time as the 5th year anniversary of the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Nintendo Switch. So, yeah, that sure is something, I guess. And the next game they did revealed is a little to the left game, and that particular game came out just recently, so yeah, I guess that's about that. And the last game they did revealed for the Indie World presentation, and that will be the best for last, because after so many years that, for those of you who have ever experienced Golf Story back in the forms of I would say in 2017 or 2018 or something like that. Mind you, it's been donkey's years since I actually well, I don't know why I say last twice, because I keep on thinking about other stuff worth noting for, but relatively speaking though, that's well, after the events of 2017 or 2018, depending on what year I was going to be thinking of anyway, that with Golf Story, that everyone else was hoping for the sequel, which it did turn out to be Sports Story. Well, apparently, after so many countless amount of delays, or anything else to be more specifically, we finally got ourselves not only the gameplay trailer for the Sports Story, but also its entire release date as well. And apparently that game is going to be launching until next month, by the end of 2022. So it actually ended up in a pretty good note around here, especially because, well, everyone else is actually dying for it, especially because they've been waiting for that game for so long now, and about time that game has now come to its existence, so, for the Nintendo Switch. So, and overall, as far as the Indie World presentations goes, in terms of wrapping things up, in terms of Indie World for this year in particular, it ends off with a pretty good note in the end, especially because, well, as I said before, everyone else has been so impatiently waiting for, Sports Story to finally got its release date, and that's about it, basically. So I highly doubt that everyone else will be very excited, able to actually finally get a chance to, hopefully, get their hands on Sports Story, enjoying at some point in next month. We don't know exactly what specific day is it going to be releasing on, but we shall see. So, and also during that particular time though, that unfortunately though, there are still some issues here and there, like for instance that I got no idea about the fact that when the heck does a Hollow Knight Silk Song is going to exist when it comes to not only its more gameplay footage, but we do now know that more systems will be added for its, that particular game itself, including the Series X for Xbox and PlayStation 5. But as a result of that kind of stuff, though, we still have no idea when that game is going to be releasing, because it's taking so long that that particular game is going to be launching or something. So, which also reminds me of something, is the fact that while I highly doubt that Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp is going to be no longer going to be releasing in 2022, I was guessing, because, well, because of this, the wars going on at the moment between Russian and Ukraine still, which is all over the world 24/7, so yeah, I can possibly understand why we're probably not going to get the game anytime soon because of that particular unexpected delay due to the ongoing war. So, just get it because, Advanced Wars with war in the title, so I guess that makes it on for it, so. And yeah, as far as saying goes, well, I suppose the only thing we only got left in terms of hype for everything, in terms of something related to 2022, that's what appears to be by the forms of, well, none other than the Game Awards will be up next. And I suppose that would be about it in terms of something related to exciting stuff coming up for the sake of the films of, well, 2022. Despite there are some few shortcomings here and there, but apart from those side things though, it's actually an alright direct, at least as far as I can tell, despite I wasn't really necessarily a huge fan of indie world stuff in my opinion, just because it's not my cup of tea or anything, I must be honest here. Oh, have you noticed something, Mighty? Is the fact that, did you see the video of Some Call Me Johnny? Of his review of Donkey Kong 64? Oh yeah, what about it? Well, apparently though, I really loved the ending portion of that particular review because he did manage to able to did his own version of DK Rap. Oh yeah, and what sort of stuff that he obviously includes? Well, basically anything in terms of likely, well, did you know that apparently for competitioners for back in the day, whenever they do manage to able to have that partnership with Dr. Pepper with that fizzy drink and stuff, oh, what about it? Apparently though, you can able to actually win the game called Donkey Kong 64 on a Nintendo 64 if you managed able to drink Dr. Pepper or something. Oh my god, are you serious? Well, that's a fact. So, yeah, it seems kind of interesting with all that little marketing campaign for Donkey Kong 64, so... Anyway, so here we go on to the next boss fight in this game, and that's what appears to be Bloom. I think that's what its name anyway. So, much like any other bosses, as far as I'm aware, that basically though, he has multiple faces, and Jesus Louise, we spent on this level for a very, very long time, and it doesn't help about the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, that we explore back and forth in between any other substance with all that stuff, so it's just insane, you know. Well, despite about the fact that I haven't able to look things up, Sonic, so forgive me if I somehow managed able to look up on things because, well, I do understand about the fact that how much you do really despise this game so much, still. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not the worst game I've ever played, it's just bad. Like, it's just literally, quite literally, the, my least favorite, you know, Wario platforming games I've ever played, because I so much rather play Wario World, despite it does have a lot of emphasis on beat-em-up stuff, but it is quite fun to play though, in my opinion, especially because of all that interesting 3D puzzle elements to it, and on top of all that stuff though, and despite its short length as well. Oh yeah, I suppose the last thing I want to mention in terms of today's discussion, and that is the fact that, well, apparently, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak digital event is gonna happen until this Wednesday, around the same day as when the 10th anniversary of the release of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transforms released. So, yeah, it seems all things considered, so... Anyway, so I'm gonna have to able to use the dragon disguise in order able to deal the damage on Bloom, so that way I can able to actually directly breathe fire at him, so... And here we go on to the third and final phase, so let's see how you must able to pull this off then, Mighty, especially because, well, suffice to say, seriously? Did he just somehow fly in the air within, like, a few seconds flat? Oh, wait a minute, because of that particular explosion thing from that fire, and then it shoots upwards, so... I guess that's a bit weird, at times. Oh no, I have to make myself all the way higher up, so just in case I can able to actually just hit her with the actual fire-breathing attack, and it's just... It's not that great, though. So, we must be honest for this point, guys, just the fact that, well, relatively speaking, this is the reason why it took so long to able to get this video going. Because of the forms of that particular... well, I've got no words to add, so... Anywho, so, I suppose, I think that's as far as we can talk about the forms of today's discussion, actually, because, well, after all, we've already mentioned quite a number of things here and there. Oh, I suppose the true definition of the final thing I would like to mention when it comes to today's discussion. Apparently, do you remember the film called Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, which is basically the sequel to Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas? Oh, what about that film? Apparently though, that film is now being officially become 18 years old just recently, and apparently a lot of people seem to really hate that movie, unlike its first counterpart, because the first movie was so timeless classic, and on top of all that stuff though, well, it's a lot of nostalgia based, But as far as I'm aware, the sequel just never received very well. Clearly because of its outdated CGI visuals or something. Mind you, I think that particular movie came out just before Chicken Little exists. Like, I know it's one of those early 3D CGI movies without any Pixar's help. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, yeah, I think that's as far as I can try to describe it, I guess. So alright, here's what I was thinking of as far as, you know, doing the strategies as far as I'm concerned. Well, basically what I'm gonna have to do here, well, I'm not exactly sure if this method will actually work out because obviously I don't seem able to reach her. But, apparently, if I'm gonna do this, like, nah, I can't do that for this fire briefing from over there because it's way too out of reach. But instead, I'm gonna have to able to do the cheating method by creating 3 of those blocks with RT Wario, and that way I can honestly able to actually make the actual process a bit easier despite, well, the seesaws managed able to get in my way sometimes, which it's a little bit too cramped sometimes, but there we go. Ah, there goes Kabloom. And my god, we spent about almost an entire hour on this stage. I mean, Jesus Louise, man. I know, right? Especially noticeable. It feels like a maze vibe on this stage, which I totally get about the fact that it's all about exploration here and there, but you have to deal with a lot of mini-games, which also makes the thing dragged, so yeah, because like I said before, everything else is a lot slower, and it's like snail's pace most of the time. Although you do get money if you somehow manage to able to get some you know, time bonuses or something, but if you spend about over an hour on most of those levels anyway, you don't get any money at all, so that might be seems kind of worthless. So, well, unless if you're able to actually earn yourself a special title in certain stimulations, I guess, but I've got no words to add for this point, Sonic. I just don't really understand of how this is gonna be existence for the sake of anything else without resides, I guess. But I digress. So, I think that's as far as I can talk about the forms of today's discussion. I mean, surely I was gonna try to help you, Mighty, but of course you somehow managed able to experience the level that we've almost experienced the level within an hour or such. I mean, jeez. Hopefully the next level should be a little bit more shorter, I guess, but we shall see until whenever that time comes. Well, don't get your hopes up at this point, Sonic, because, you know, like I said before, we are the halfway point of the game already, so now we've actually got ourselves the 3rd artifact, so in some cases though, we only got, have we got 2 of them left? I believe so anyway, according to the forms of that particular, one of those scenes that shows us the silhouettes of some artifacts, so oh yeah, every once in a while, if you collect a certain amount of money, then you get yourselves the actual title, like you mentioned this before, Mighty. Oh yeah, because the more you collect more treasures or money, then obviously you get one of those name titles, so I've got nothing more to add about this, I guess, but I think the only reward you get if you manage to able to earn yourself a new title about, you know, all the gold and treasures and all that stuff though, I think one of your decorations shows up, so I think that's about it basically, so yeah, anyway, so I think suffice to say for this point, I think that's as far as I can talk about this. I mean, I would like to discuss upon more details about other stuff, you know, related to Mario Kart Tour, like I said before, but I think I should probably save that conversation whenever we get to the next level, so how long is this gonna take? Or don't you mean, how long is this gonna go on? Well, I don't know about you, Mighty. I honestly have no idea. So, anyway, so with that being said, we're gonna end things off here. So join us next time for more of Let's Play of Wario Master of Disguise. It's the fact that we'll move on to the next episode, which is episode 7. So, at least we're still hoping that level should be a bit shorter, I guess. But best of luck, I guess. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Later, dudes. See you guys then.